Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Fucked Up Fables. Today marks the start of Disney Month. For the entire month of September, we are going to explore the origins of some of our favorite Disney Renaissance movies. And for today's episode, Titania chose Beauty and the Beast. So if destroying cherished childhood memories is your thing, you've come to the right place. So, Titania, why Beauty and the Beast?
So that's a really good question. Honestly, my main reason for choosing this is that I actually hadn't even read the original story. And I had this really beautiful copy sitting on my shelf and decided it was time to sit down and force myself to read it. So,
Question. Was it in
yeah,
French or English?
it's in English.
Oh, you even brought it to show and tell. Aw.
I kept it. This is where I was like writing things down. This is actually a really cool book. It's the Barnes and Noble edition, and the very first story is Beauty and the Beast, and then they split it up into stories about beauties, and then later in the book it's split into like beast stories.
Beast? Oh, that's actually really cool. I like that.
But it's I love these leather bound Barnes and Noble editions.
Mm-hmm.
They're like $20, but they also often go for like buy one get one free
Yeah,
or
like
buy
half
one.
off or something, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've owned it for years because it's pretty and never read it. So that's why I chose Beauty and the Beast. I should probably insert a trigger warning though, because though the story doesn't necessarily go into this, I will be going into thoughts of domestic violence.
Ooh,
So
Mm-hmm.
trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
All right, so now that my childhood is ruined, let's ruin everybody else's.
Of course, because that's what we're here for.
Exactly. So I'm assuming that we all know the story of Beauty and the Beast as told by Disney.
Yep.
But just in case, I'm going to give a brief synopsis because you never know. The movie, the animated movie, not the live action. So it starts off showing a young child being cruel to a beggar woman who is actually an enchantress that then curses him and all of his household staff. The child becomes a beast and the staff household goods. Then we cut over to a beautiful girl named Belle. She's a dreamer who wants nothing more than to go on an adventure and explore the world. This makes her an outcast in her tiny rural village who thinks she's a weirdo, except one beefed up definition of toxic masculinity, which is Gaston.
My main man. I love Gaston so much. I don't know why.
He's the worst person to
He's like
love.
the least villainous villain that Disney has ever created.
I agree. Well,
I'm pretty sure he's just gay.
I feel like they kind of know LeFou was gay.
Yeah, they do that in the live action. They hint that
Right.
that's why LeFou follows Gaston around.
Mm-hmm.
I love the live action version of LeFou. I thought it was done so well. And it gave him personality, and I really like the actor. So.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, isn't that Josh Gad?
Josh Gad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen all of the live action. I've only seen bits and pieces. So
I like it.
You should watch it at least once.
Really
at least
hard,
once.
and I really despise Emma Watson as Belle with an unholy passion. I can't stand her as Belle. So I've seen it 1.5 times. I know. I think that's an unpopular opinion, but
it's okay. You want to know my unpopular Disney opinion? Will Smith is a better genie. Oh, I said it.
I'm done. I'm logging off. You cannot place Robin Williams in front of me.
I cannot weigh in on this because I've not seen the new one. But here's what I will say. Here's what I will say on this, and then we need to get back on track because I don't want us to run out of time.
We won't run out of time. This is important.
For the younger generation, Will Smith is Robin Williams. What Robin Williams was to us. That's how I look at it.
See, this is my problem with Will Smith. Will Smith could have been Will Smith as the genie. He's an excellent actor. He could have been sort of that like hip hop vibe that he gives off all, like in his movie. Like he could have been that cool guy
Mhm.
personality. He could have been Will Smith as the genie. Instead, we got Will Smith impersonating Robin Williams as the genie. So it's all kind of lackluster to me.
See,
It's
I
I
I
disagree
think
a
he
little
was
bit on that.
trying to pay homage to Robin Williams, is what
it
he was
should have been
trying
fresh.
to do.
It should have been fresh. Not, and I don't mean Fresh Prince,
It
but
should have been Fresh Prince.
it should have been a new, I don't know, a new take. Like let the Robin Williams version
But
be.
to Will Smith's defense, that's not entirely up to him how the script is written.
It is
That's
not.
true.
I completely agree. And like there are moments where he is Will Smith, like when they
Friend
go
like
into the
me.
palace and he's like leave off the jams or whatever, that whole jam
Yeah,
conversation.
I mean, you can even hear him kind of like getting more into the rap vibe when he's doing Friend Like Me, so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but the movie's trying really hard to make an exact replica of Robin Williams as the genie, that's where it feels like it falls short. It doesn't have the same pacing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have the same energy. It's just not quite the same.
Mhm.
We'll cover Aladdin at some point, don't worry.
We have
Yeah,
to.
we
We have
will.
to. I will rant. Anyway, back to the story. So Gaston, your man,
Oh man.
he actually wants to claim Belle as his trophy wife. I lost what my thought. Oh yeah. So I made a note to say that I'm going off the animated and not the live action, which I've already said. But that's just because there's a lot to unpack in the live action, and maybe that's something we can cover: live action Disney versus
Animated?
animated.
Mhm.
I mean, they're gonna be making a spoiler alert Hercules. So
I'm
Mhm.
excited for that. Hercules is one of my favorite animated movies, even though it's the one that almost destroyed the Disney Animation Studio. I
that's okay.
love it so much.
Hercules is so
I'm working on a Megara cosplay, so
it's perfect.
I can't wait. Anyway, so back to the story. So one day, Belle's father, who's an inventor, leaves to go to the market to showcase his inventions. Along the way, he is attacked by wolves, loses his horse, and flees through a really creepy forest until he stumbles upon a deserted castle. He goes into the castle and
Mhm.
is confronted by a beast who I think is supposed to resemble a bull. The animation I always find a little odd, like why that?
I thought
But
he was a
I
bear.
thought he was a bull. He has horns.
Oh.
I don't know. Anyway, he imprisons Belle's father for trespassing. Then we cut back to Belle, who's startled when her father's horse runs to her frantically. She realizes something is terribly wrong and asks the super smart Disney horse to take her to her father. And it works, because Disney horses always know the way,
They really do.
right?
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah.
So she eventually finds the abandoned castle, and I believe some proof that her father went inside. I did not rewatch the movie. I probably should have,
I
but
thought
I thought
she
I could
like
remember everything. Obviously,
stumbles
I
upon him at like the dungeon or so, like he has like an outside dungeon or a courtyard that leads to the dungeon and
yeah,
he like sees her father
there's
through the
some
bars.
reason she goes inside, and I don't exactly remember, so I'm terrible. Um, but she goes inside and she finds her father imprisoned, makes a deal with the beast, which has her switch places with her father. The beast agrees, sends her father home, and the beast, along with, I'm assuming, 17th century appliances, set Belle up in a nice room and offer her dinner. Yeah, the talking appliances. I don't know.
17th
Um,
century appliance. Just the thought. It's just,
so obviously, Belle is angry at the beast, and they clash heads many times. There's several musical montages of dancing dinnerware and snowball fights.
be our
But,
guest.
huh?
Be our guest. It's a classic.
Yeah,
It's the best song in that whole movie.
it's really good in the live action.
Oh really?
I enjoyed
I
it.
haven't seen that.
They had a little hint to the French Revolution, which I was the only person in the audience to just crack up laughing. So, but in the end, Belle and the Beast become friends. Um, Oh, and during this time, she discovers a mysterious rose under a glass dome. I figure we're probably all familiar with that symbol. And we find out through side conversations with the clock and candlestick that the rose is essentially a timer on a curse. And once the last petal falls, the curse becomes permanent.
Do
And then
they
we
give a specific like time frame? I don't remember in the movie
I don't think so. I think they're just like when the last petal falls.
when that last one falls.
And like I think if I remember correctly from the animation, it was almost a full rose when she gets there, and then towards the end there's one petal left. So I don't know how long magic roses last. Unfortunately, the movie makes it feel like a week.
Yeah, it doesn't last very long.
Yeah. So
It-
so then we cut back to her father, who warns the town of a beast who kidnapped his daughter. No one believes him, and he gets locked up again, but this time for being insane. We cut back to Belle, who is enjoying an iconic dancing ballroom scene to the tune of Beauty and the Beast, the other great song in that movie, with the Murder, She Wrote lady singing it. What's her name?
Yes. Oh, crap. She was also in
I
Bed
don't know. She
Knobs
was
and
in Nuts and
Broomsticks.
Broomstick. Anyway,
Angela
Lansbury.
Angela
For the
Lansbury.
win. I believe that song won an Oscar, but I may be wrong.
I
Probably should
have-
do more research.
I have no idea who she is at all.
You never seen Bed Knobs and Broomstick?
She was on Murder She Wrote. She was
I
the
never
main
watched-
star.
Never watched Murder She Wrote, and I've seen like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks like maybe twice. That's the one that had the magical bed, right?
Yeah, we still watch it to this day as adults. I love that movie. Anyway,
It is a very good movie. It is a classic.
So actually, I have a fun fact about this. Is that I don't know if you guys remember when we were children, but that was one of the first times that the Disney Animation Studio used 3D animation in that ballroom scene.
Mhm.
Oh. No, I didn't know that.
I believe it was remastered into that in the late 90s. I can't remember if it was in the theatrical release, but it was one of the first times. And they did like on the Disney Channel, they had a whole like background like special episode you could watch on how they did it. And I remember watching that when I was a kid and thinking, wow, 3D animation. Who knew?
No, I had no idea. I don't remember it being. Oh, I guess it kind of is a little bit different when they're dancing around. The scene is a little weird looking. Okay.
It goes and like it's a really, when you think about the technology at the time, it's a really beautiful scene with how they did it. And it's probably the most well-known scene. I think even if you haven't seen the animated movie, you probably know that scene because
and that bell gown is iconic.
They ruined it in live action. We're not going to get in
yellow. The yellow dress is just like
you keep saying that we're not going to go there, but yet it keeps coming up. So you're salty. Okay.
Anyway, so the Beast and Belle have a heart-to-heart where the Beast shows her his magic mirror because she says that she misses her father, and he's like, I have a mirror that is like a telephone. Not in so many words, and she's able to see her father, and she sees that he's imprisoned, and she wants to go save him, and the Beast lets her go. And which is, by the way, supposed to be a like character development moment because he was very selfish.
Yeah, because he kept her in prison and then is like, no, you should go be with your dad or whatever. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. So we cut back to the village, and there's a mob gathered around the imprisoned Maurice, which is the name of her father in the movie. Belle tries to convince everyone that her father was telling the truth about the Beast and shows the mob the Beast in the magic mirror. I just want to say, no one freaks out about the fact that she's holding a magic mirror. They only freak out about the fact that they're seeing a beast. I don't get it. I think she would be called a witch and burned at the stake.
I also don't understand how he would have survived so long with no one knowing that he lived there. Because it's not like it's super far out of the way. No. How the fuck is he getting his food? How does no one know it? But like that whole huge feast and Be Our Guest, like they have so much food. Like how?
Never addressed.
That never made sense to me. Where they're like, "Oh, look at the Beast," and I'm like, "Motherfucker, you should know who he is. He lives right down the road.
King.
He lives down the road."
They addressed it in the live action. They tried to address all the plot holes, which kind of makes the whole movie feel like a fan service.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But so Gaston takes the magic mirror and whips the crowd of people up into a mob, and they decide that they have to kill the beast. I don't know why.
Kill the beast.
And
Kill the beast.
Yeah, kill the beast. Yeah, it's a really good song. That's an epic song. Bad guy songs are always the best.
Not all of them.
I mean, yeah, you're true. I'll give you that. There's some really bad ones. So the mob takes pitchforks and torches, and they go to kill the beast. So there's a battle between the furniture and the villagers when they get there, while Gaston and the beast fight one-on-one. Though the beast really doesn't care because he's heartbroken over Belle leaving, which I, even as a child, was like, but you never said she couldn't come back, and she never said she wasn't going to come back, so why are you so sad? But anyway, so he's all depressed, and he's not trying to fight, and Gaston is just about to kill him when Belle appears and gives him hope to fight. The beast essentially kills Gaston, but Disney swears it's an accident.
It's a little uncertain what happens to Gaston.
Disney testified in court it was an accident.
Wait, back up. They went to court over this?
No.
Oh. I'm like, they killed Bambi's mom. This is not the
But after Gaston dies, the beast then dies, but is brought back as a human, a very attractive animated human, I might add.
Adam,
and
of course.
Because true love saves the day. And then the furniture become people again too. So there's a happy ending. So that was a lot longer of a synopsis than I initially planned, but there's a point because I'm comparing it to the original. So I had to go into that long detail. I'm just as bad as you are.
I do have a question because I don't remember clearly. Is it like True Love's kiss that brings him back to life, or is it just like her tears, like in Tangled? Or
I think it's technically her tear, but like I think a tear hits him and like mixes with the rain, and she's crying because she's crying over him, and then he gets these really cool glowy fingers.
So in the animated series, she leans over him, she's crying, she's like, "Please don't leave me, I love you," and she gives him a kiss, and
then her tear falls. Yeah, I remember her tear making the rain.
Yeah, and then her tear falls, and he's like all glowy, and you know.
I do have to say, the actor they got to play the Beast in the live action, spot on casting.
I don't know who plays him in the live action.
Dan Stevens, I think is his name. I may be looking that up, but he's from Downton Abbey, and he is super attractive, and looks exactly how I'd imagine that animated character.
I'm not gonna lie, the guy that they got to play Gaston in the live action one was also very spot on.
Luke Evans
was completely well casted.
Luke Evans is a national treasure.
Yes.
Oh. Anyway, so on to the origins of the story.
How different is it? Is it like a lot, or is it like they did pretty okay?
They kept the heart of it. I think we'll get into it. So anyway, it seems like a pretty straightforward story, and interestingly enough, Disney kept the essence of it up to a point. So the original story, which is from the Blue Fairy book, I don't know if you've heard of these books, but there's several different volumes, and they're all labeled by color. There's the blue, the crimson, I think there's a green. They're amazing. And that's actually where this version of Beauty and Beast that I have comes from. I have an original copy of the Blue Fairy book from like.
So wait, I thought this was a Grimm Brothers story. Is this not a Grimm Brothers?
Not a Grimm Brothers.
Oh shit!
It's Blue Fairy book. Yeah, so that's why it's going to seem fairly lighthearted, but I'll get to why I think it's so fucked up in the end.
I don't know why I thought it was a Grimm Brothers. Grimm Brothers were German, and the story is French. What the fuck?
Right, and so
they kind of hijack fairy tale stories from all over. So.
These colored fairy books, they collect fairy tales from all over. They often don't have authors. They're just passed down, and someone
stories, they don't know where it came from. Okay,
I should really look up more of the history of those because they're. I love it, and I just saw that Barnes & Noble re-released them again in their original colors, and I love them.
I've never heard of them, so interesting.
Yeah, well, actually, if you get these volumes, they'll tell you which fairy book they come from too.
Oh,
which is really cool. That's how I know it's from the Blue Fairy book. So in this story, the origin story, it turns out that Belle, who goes by the name of Beauty, it's not really her name; it's a nickname because she's super pretty. She was actually one of 12 siblings.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Well,
Dear God.
there were 6 daughters and 6 sons.
At least I had an even number.
Yep, there's a father, but no mother is mentioned, so fits right in line with Disney.
Yeah.
They were comfortably wealthy. Her father was a merchant, and then they get hit by some really awful luck. Their house burns down, and everything in it is lost, including their money. Their father's business is then destroyed by a fire, shipwrecks, and pirates.
Jesus.
Then, oh, there's more. Then the rest of his business, which was on land, was destroyed by employees embezzling money.
What?
And apparently, when you become poor, all of your rich friends abandon you, so they're homeless and penniless.
And friendless, apparently. What the fuck?
Friendless.
These people
All
need to...
13 of them.
Wow.
So,
Damn.
really bad day. I'm assuming it's a day. It all in the way it's written, it all sounds like a day.
Jeez.
So they were destitute and had to move into a small, dingy house in the middle of a dark forest that I guess they still owned. To be fair, they all sort of took responsibility for being poor because they kept seeing how they spent their money extravagantly in the past and thought that maybe they could have saved the money and then they wouldn't be in this bad situation now.
But that wouldn't matter because their money burned up, right?
It did. Their gold burned up. Their
It wouldn't have mattered. Okay, anyway, sorry.
They're lamenting, they're depressed, and these are the thoughts going through their head that maybe if we wouldn't have spent so lavishly. So everyone's depressed, dressed like paupers, and they're working really hard to grow food just to eat. The boys work in the field, and the girls are apparently inside being depressed. They don't really say what they're doing. They say they're working hard and depressed. Except Beauty, who is the youngest daughter. She is apparently the smartest of the lot, the prettiest of the lot as well, according to the author. She refuses to be sad, and her siblings essentially think she's crazy for it because they're in this terrible situation, and she's just like, I'm always going to be happy.
Yeah.
And it's an annoying cheerfulness.
Well,
no.
Nope, murder her.
Yeah. Apparently she's annoyingly cheerful. Well, this drags on for 2 years.
Jesus.
2 years. Then one day, the father receives a letter that says one of his ships that he thought was destroyed actually wasn't and had just docked. So everyone thinks that their troubles are over because he's got cargo on there that he can sell and make his fortune back.
Wait, but it's been gone for 2 years and you were attacked by pirates. Wouldn't you just assume?
Well, there were shipwrecks, pirates, and fires. So
I assume that was all like together. Like the pirates attacked, they were shipwrecked, and had fires lit by the pirates.
I took it as him having a fleet of ships.
Well, I mean, yeah, but okay.
Supposedly one got away. Maybe they got lost at sea, landed on a abandoned island, stayed there until I don't know why
they decided to leave. 2 years. I found this really suspect. Pirates.
So does Beauty. So, I honestly don't understand why she was so upbeat before, but now when they might have a windfall, she's suddenly like, this sounds suspicious. I mean, to be fair, it is, but it's an odd turn of personality. Right. But anyway, so the father decides to set off to investigate. So he's going to head to the shore. All of his children ask for very expensive presents, except for Beauty, who asks for a single rose because she doesn't believe they're going to have money at the end of this trip. Right. So she's like, get me a rose because it's free. And, she was right to be doubtful because the crew, it turns out, it was one of his ships. It had docked, but they decided that the owner must be dead. I don't know why they decide he's dead.
You know why?
It's been 2 years.
Because they're the ones that set the fire in the house and then destroyed his land, like, business thing.
I didn't think. Maybe. So they took his cargo and divided it amongst themselves. So they just took it. So, yeah, I just don't get it. Like, was it really that hard to ask around to see if the owner of the ship was still alive?
No, they don't care about that because they just assume that he's dead because everything else is destroyed.
I guess. So the father's still penniless. So he was actually gone for 6 months. This whole trip took that long. And he decides he needs to return home. He made just enough money selling some of the small things he took with him to pay for the journey back. Much like the movie, he gets lost in the woods, stumbles upon the castle. Interestingly enough, though, the castle is in full spring bloom when the rest of the land is in winter. And that's one thing the story does really well because it makes you think that it's in a bubble of magic
Okay,
versus
yeah.
Disney where it's like, why do you not, why? This castle's right here.
Right, it's right down the road, guys.
Right? So there's your Disney explanation, I guess. But it's not that hard to make it look like that it's protected by magic. It literally would just been a few bits of animation. But anyway, so he goes inside and finds a fire, a couch, and some food in this completely abandoned and silent castle. So he eats and sleeps like any normal person would, wakes up, does it again, but only then does he start to get creeped out. Because food keeps appearing next to him, the fire is still going, but there's no one around. Not a single sound in this castle. So he's creeped out and he decides, I'm going to explore. Honestly, that's what I would do because
No.
places fascinate me.
Feet, get the fuck out of there. It's a horror movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Not me. I would have been like, ooh, this place is creepy and cool. So he finds the flower garden, and for some reason, this reminds him that he has children. And he does. And he remembers his promise to Beauty to bring her home a single rose. So he goes out into the garden and plucks a rose. And then the beast appears, super pissed off, because he was being very kind by giving him food and shelter, apparently. And the father thanks him by stealing a rose, which is a bit of an overreaction. But I'm pretty sure they'll do that in the live action too. But I mean, I don't blame him because it's technically stealing. At least I know now roses cost a lot of money.
Yeah, apparently.
Put a lot of time into growing roses.
Yeah.
But anyway, the father, it's really funny because the father is like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for stealing this rose, but you have no idea how awful my life has been lately, and then spills his whole life story to the beast.
I mean, if you're gonna beg for your life, you might as well go full in, right?
Yeah, might as well.
It apparently works because he's all like, damn, after all the shit I've been through, now I'm about to be eaten by a beast. And the beast is like, let's make a deal. So he decides that he'll forgive the theft in exchange for a daughter. Because while the father was spilling his life story, he's like, I have 6 daughters. And so the beast is like, I want one in exchange for a rose.
Of course, because
logic.
Men.
The beast gives him a month to go home and convince one of his daughters to take his place. So at first the father is appalled, rightfully, but then in the end he's like, okay, and goes home.
Wait, I'm confused. Hold on. So it took him 6 months to travel to where the ship was.
Yes.
And then he got lost on the way back?
Yes, he was on his way home.
And so he's only like a month away, or does the beast just not know that he's essentially 6 months away?
Good question. I'm assuming he's a month away. Or I'm assuming he's less than a month away because he's supposed to go he has a month to go home, talk to his daughters, and then either he comes back or one of his daughters comes back.
Jesus.
But the condition was the daughter had to come willingly. He wasn't allowed to like kidnap the daughter and throw her at the beast and say take her. She had to come willingly. If no one would willingly take his place, then the father would have to return forever.
I mean, that seems he doesn't seem like a super bad guy so far.
He is a very smooth talker and he has a lot of manners.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like, don't force them. If no one can take your place, it's it's gonna have to be you. Like he I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not
it's not that bad. I mean, he only wants a daughter in exchange for a rose. It's not that big.
I mean,
at least he was being polite about it.
Right.
Yeah. So The father returns home, and he doesn't at first tell his family what happened, but he gives Beauty her rose and essentially tells her, "You have no idea how much this cost me," in like a snotty tone. And then everyone freaks out and asks him to explain, like, why are you acting this way? And then he tells everyone, and so all of the sisters turn on Beauty and blame her for the predicament because she should have asked for an expensive gift instead of a rose, and then none of this would have ever happened. So,
Bitches.
yeah. So Beauty feels absolutely terrible and decides that she asked for the rose, she should be the one to go. Her brothers and father actually argue against it while the sisters are like, you should go, because if she doesn't go, then one of them would have to instead, or just let their father go back and then feel bad about that for eternity. But in the end, Beauty and her father return to the castle, where Beauty has decided that she's going to stay. So when she gets there, she's actually not really afraid. She's super excited. Even when the beast appears to her and asks if she came willingly, she's like, dude, yeah. And that was really important to the beast. And so when she says yes, the beast is pleased. And he gives her father, who came with her, a reward by allowing him to fill 2 trunks with all the treasure that they want. We'll say treasure. It was actually a long, drawn-out deal. But essentially, they go to a room and fill up trunks. And no matter how much gold you put in the trunks, it never got full.
Oh, wow.
And so the father's like, we're being tricked. And Beauty was like, nah, maybe we should trust him. And sure enough, the next morning when the father goes to leave, the trunks are there. They're filled with gold. He gets to take it back. So now they're no longer penniless.
So it's like a reverse dowry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess because the beast maybe felt a little bad taking the daughter, they never go into that. So at first, Beauty is really sad, but is comforted by the beast, who gives her everything she could wish for. Even some hope that maybe she someday might be able to see her family again once she, quotes, saves him from his misery.
So
And we don't know what that is.
That sleeps with him, obviously. That's exactly what it is.
Ooh, I do not want to go into the logistics of that.
Wait, did they say in the story what kind of beast he is? Or did they just call him the beast?
No, and in my imagination, it was the beast from the Disney version.
As it should be.
They call him a beast, and that's it. No description, nothing, just a beast.
It's the Phantom of the Opera.
I love the Phantom.
No.
Anyway, all the beast asks for in return for giving her everything that she wants is that she is grateful to him. He wants her to be grateful. It's a little weird.
Okay.
He's not really forced her, but he's made this weird deal. She's come, she's unhappy, and he's like, I'm giving you everything you want. You should be grateful to me. Anyway, so she falls asleep and dreams of a prince, and when she wakes up, she is convinced that the beast has imprisoned him somewhere, and she goals herself with the task of freeing him, even though there's literally no proof of his existence. Not one shred of proof, until she stumbles upon a portrait, kind of like in the Disney movie, only it was in a bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
So literally that next day, on her next meeting the beast asks her to marry him. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is very Disney-fied of a story.
I mean, that is kind of like the whole intention of having one of the daughters come there, is that I would assume he would marry her.
Yeah, well, she says no. She's actually kind of freaked out about it. And she's like, no. And the beast is like, cool, you have no fear from me if you say yes or no. It doesn't matter, it's fine.
Wow, I was ready for him to be like, I paid for you.
Right.
Fine.
Do you know how much gold your father took? No, he was just like, cool, all right, I'll ask again later. Kind of like the Princess Bride,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that reminds me of. Anyway, so in the book version of a montage, Beauty dreams of the prince every night, and every evening the beast asks her to marry him, and she always says no. And she becomes more and more obsessive about this prince in her dreams that she thinks is trapped somewhere. And they have conversations. So she eventually becomes homesick, and the beast lets her leave to see her family. But for only 2 months, because the beast says he will die if she doesn't come back. He doesn't explain why. He's just like, I might be dead if you take too long, like longer than 2 months. And she's like, cool, and prepares to leave for the morning with a really neat magic ring that will teleport her back to the castle when she's ready.
Oh, that's dope.
And yeah, and some more treasure for her family. Um, Again that night, she dreams of the prince and admits to the dream prince that she cares for the beast, but in the same breath calls him ugly. And then she wakes up in her father's house because the beast has magic teleportation powers. I don't know why.
Oh.
Yeah. So in a heart to heart with her father while she's there, she admits that she loves the dream prince and could never marry the beast because he's ugly.
Wait,
Her
but didn't
father
you
is,
just say that she likes the beast?
but he's ugly. But he's ugly. Her father though is essentially like, you should be grateful for the beast. He's doing all these things for you, and you should potentially consider the beast because he's real. He doesn't say that. That's what I thought.
I sold you to him.
Real.
I sold you. Be grateful, bitch. That's what that
Damn.
is.
No one brings up the fact that, you know, she was sold essentially. But
Yeah.
so her 2 months at home sucked. She was depressed all the time because she couldn't stop thinking about her dream prince. And by the way, she assumes he's a prince. I'm just gonna throw that out there. She calls him a prince, but there's no evidence. And her sisters treated her as if she were a nuisance because you know, they got rich again. They don't care about her.
Right.
Mhm.
And she was annoyingly cheery in the beginning, and they got rid of her. So, but right, totally ingrate. Well, she almost didn't keep her promise to go back to the beast. She waits until the last day, goes to bed, has a nightmare that he's dying, and freaks out, and then leaves the very next day. When she gets back at the palace, she finds the beast seemingly dead. She sprinkles water on his face, which wakes him up, and she proclaims that she loves him.
Hold on, time out. I'm confused.
Okay.
If she can just teleport back with this ring, why does she wait till the next day to leave? Like, why doesn't she just insta teleport? Like,
Try to get sleep, I guess. Finish her night's
Maybe.
sleep.
I guess.
She's like, I need my beauty sleep, guys.
I mean, she is called Beauty,
in the morning,
so...
right? And then she comes
Yeah.
back, and he seems like she's dead. And I'm wondering if her first thought was, oh, maybe I didn't need my beauty rest after all. Shit.
Oh, right, like I should have teleported.
Yeah, beauty sleep, you know.
Mhm.
Beauty sleep. You know, her name's Beauty.
Oh my god, get out of here.
Sorry.
That's not her name, though. That's just her description.
It's her nickname. Everyone called her Beauty because she's so much prettier than her sisters.
Bitch.
Right? And she's annoyingly cheery. How dare you? So she, like I said, she teleports back, and she thinks he's dead, and she freaks out and throws water on his face. And he wakes up, and when he wakes up, she's like, "Oh my god, I love you now." I guess maybe thinking that he was dead made her realize she actually loves the beast more than this dream guy in her head. And she finally says yes to marrying the beast. Suddenly there are fireworks. And the beast then becomes the prince that she dreamed of.
Does he go like all magic sparkly like in Shrek?
No, what actually happens is there are fireworks, and she goes, oh, what is that? And she turns back, and there is a person standing where the beast was.
He's a skinwalker.
It was like magician. It was the distraction. So interestingly enough, she. Oh, I forgot to say before he becomes human, and she says she loves him. She also agreed to marry him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
she
you
went,
said
I
that.
love you. I'll marry you. While he's still the beast, boom, turns into human. And it's the prince that she was dreaming of. And then in through the door walks the prince's mother that she met in her nightmare. And the fairy, who I guess enchanted him, literally haven't seen her before. It just calls her the fairy. And they were married the next day. And her family was allowed to visit for the wedding. The end.
What?
What?
This is the most unrealistic ending I've ever heard to a fairy tale story.
There was a dance, I think, with her family at the end. In general, there are so many questions. Why was he turned into a beast? Did the fairy actually do it? Where was his mother living the whole time? What was the curse? They never explained it. Also, how old was he? How long was he cursed? Why would he die if she left? Like, dude, I need more. But,
Yeah.
um, it all seems happy and cheery, and it doesn't seem that bad. But I'm going to point out the fucked up part of this story because it seems so nice and benign. After all, he didn't kidnap her. He wanted her to come willingly. There was not Stockholm syndrome, though, maybe. And he would have imprisoned. I mean, granted, he would have imprisoned someone, which is kind of mean, but he is such a manipulative piece of trash. And this is why I say this story is part of our fucked up fables thing. And maybe I'm looking at it too deeply, but I'll explain. And this is where the trigger warning comes to play. So, outside of the whole you have to stay here and never see your family again part, which by the way is isolation, which is a grooming tactic used by domestic abusers.
Yeah.
Yep, it
He
is.
essentially demands that she is grateful to him. Like, dude, you're keeping her prisoner. Why should she feel grateful? He showers her with a lavish lifestyle and is like, see all that I give you? You can't leave me because I'm giving you all of this stuff. Be happy. And when she refuses to marry him, he keeps love bombing her until she shows him, until she knows, until all she knows is him and his creepy dream self that is a constant presence in her head. So on the outside, you have the beast trying to convince her to love him. And when that fails, he can continue to manipulate and brainwash her in her dreams.
Yeah.
That is domestic abuse. That
Yeah.
is not okay.
That
And then
that's
he does the whole I will die if you don't come back trope. That's similar
yep.
to people who threaten suicide if their significant other leaves.
Yep.
Like, the story is so fucked up and told in a way that sounds like it's all a good thing. I think this is an excellent example of domestic abuse and grooming.
Yeah.
And
100%.
well, and basically what the beast is, he's a narcissist. That's exactly what narcissists do. They hold things over your head. They tell you that you should be grateful. You owe me because I've done these things for you. They will threaten to end their life, basically be saying, "Hey, I'm going to die." Um, and then the whole, like I said, the isolation and everything else. That is a narcissist to the fucking T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously Alice agrees. What do you think, Inky Doo?
Yeah, I mean, it shows the like so like in the animated movie you get a little bit more of like he's aggressive and like maybe more physically abusive, but it seems like in the original story it's a lot more the mental and emotional abuse. I'm going to isolate you so all you have is me to fall back on, like no one else is in your life. You don't have anything that is just yours. I'm providing everything for you. I'm showering you with all of this stuff to like show you how much I love you. Like look at all this stuff I got you. Of course I love you. But that's not how love works.
No.
Nope.
Be grateful the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not how this works.
Yeah.
So as I was reading it, I was like, at first this doesn't seem that bad, but if you really dive into what's happening, it is truly fucked up.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
and so Disney took it and did not put that in there.
Yeah,
And I
they
No.
flipped it a little bit more, made it more like you said earlier, like a little bit more like Stockholm syndrome. Like he's holding her captive,
Yeah.
she grows feelings, and then he grows feelings for her, and in turn, like releases her and stuff. So
And I feel like in 2020, the dumpster fire that it is, we are becoming like more vocal and aware about the quieter forms of abuse and manipulation
Mhm.
that's happening. And this story is filled with it. You've got your grooming and your brainwashing and your isolation. You've got all these little things that lead to a typical abuse story. Like, eventually she's gonna be locked up in the house, never allowed to leave. I mean, she kind of already was. What am I saying?
Yeah, I was
Eventually.
gonna say, yeah, she already was, and then like her family's allowed to visit for the wedding, but that's like it. Like she doesn't. That's
Then
it.
it ends. Yeah. What's quite
Yeah.
interesting about this story is that it is in the Blue Fairy book. So the Blue Fairy book is children's tales. Like,
Mhm.
the Grimm fairy tales, are dark and disturbing, but the Blue Fairy book is a typical book you would let children read or read to your children. And reading this to a young girl might give them the idea that this behavior's okay, because in the end he's a prince.
Right. And look at all this stuff that like he's showing you how much he loves you with the things that he buys, and it's like that's material love is not the same.
Right.
Can't put a price on that.
And on
No.
top of it, it starts off with a threat essentially to her family, and then
Yeah.
uh,
I
it's
also
a lot
have to
darker
wonder,
than the pretty cover.
it also makes me wonder, like, because you say that she's the youngest, it makes me wonder exactly how young she is. Because, like, back in those times, it wasn't uncommon for you to be like 14, 15, 16, and I mean, still in some parts of the world, that's a common age for you to be
Yep.
married off. And that's
Yeah, we have 12
very,
siblings.
yeah, and that's a very, like, impressionable age. It's really easy to groom people, which is why you see people that are groomers are under, I don't remember what the term is for people who are interested in like teens but not quite adults. I know there's a type of pedophilia that falls.
Oh my gosh.
What is
I literally just had this conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but that's why they choose that age range, because they are so easy to influence that they
Yeah.
don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
I would think with her annoying cheerfulness and the fact that she pretty much doesn't have any fear, I would guess around 13 or 14.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, I would say, because it's usually a safe bet, even all the way through 15, 16. You still don't really have a lot of fear about things.
How old is
So,
she in the official Disney canon?
16?
I think she's in her
I don't
20s.
know.
Google that.
I'm Googling it.
So in
She's
the live
17.
action, she's 17.
Okay.
In the live action, I'm pretty sure she's aged up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Emma Watson. Not that Emma Watson is old, but we all know she's not 17.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the youngest Disney princess is Snow White, who is 13.
14. She's 14.
She's 14?
Yep. And I believe that of the official lineup, Elsa is the oldest. Which I don't know why they include Elsa as a princess when she's a queen.
It's
But also,
way too difficult to separate them.
But also, Kida is technically the oldest, but we don't talk about Atlantis because it didn't gross enough and there's no singing. So
Atlantis was amazing.
It was.
Yes.
It was.
The animation and how they put all these glowy blue effects everywhere.
See, and I thought that Atlantis was the first 3D Disney animated movie that had the 3D, because that has the 3D animation. It came out in 2002 is what I said?
The ball, it was just that ballroom scene. So maybe Atlantis is the first that used it throughout the movie, but that ballroom scene.
Yeah, because I thought that it was Atlantis was the first one that used 3D animation, but obviously. But Beauty and the Beast came out in what, 98? No.
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
I should have done way more research than I did. If you give me 2 seconds, I can look up.
No, it came out shortly after. I think it came out in 89, because Little Mermaid's what, 88?
1991. Beauty and the Beast came out in 1991. Yeah.
Jesus
Christ. I'm betting it was a remastered version that, when they, they re-released all the time. I'm betting it was a remastered version that came out. But I specifically remember them saying on the Disney Channel that this is the first use of 3D animation.
Yeah.
You should go back and watch that scene. It's really pretty, especially knowing that that's very early 3D, and you're looking at it's really gorgeous. I remember when I was a kid watching that, I was like, oh, wow, like you're there.
Right, yeah, it is.
No, okay, so in the original 1991 film, Beauty and the Beast, actually you made extensive use of the software to integrate 2D with 3D. So it was the very first film. Yes.
1991.
Yes.
91, man.
Look at that. See, I remember things from my childhood sometimes. Useless things, but
Yep.
so
The ballroom frame was the first to use 3D rendering.
That's crazy.
I remember shit.
Yep.
So I think I have successfully destroyed this story, though.
Yeah.
I'll never be able to go back and watch the movie
Mic
the
drop.
same. I'll just be like, you grooming motherfucker.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. I'm
She's
like,
a child.
there we go. Now it's never.
Yeah.
You can never look at the Beast as a good guy anymore. Like,
Yeah, I still have to get over that Phantom. I always look at Phantom.
no.
Don't talk about
I
Phantom.
read the
Alicia
book,
does not like
too.
Phantom.
It's because the Phantom of the Opera is a horror story and everyone romanticizes it, and they should not.
That's because they stuck Gerard Butler in it in 2004. Like,
even before that, it's
The original one was kind of freaky, actually, to sit down and watch it.
yeah, because it was a horror movie. It was a silent film horror movie.
Yeah.
Before we leave, I do want to throw in one more thing, which I don't know if Diane, you have this, but since we are talking about domestic violence, anyone who's experiencing it or know someone who is, the hotline number is 1-800-799-7233. And contact them. They can take care of all of it. Whether you see these symptoms with someone you know and their significant other, or you are yourself experiencing it, definitely reach out. Don't let it get to the point where they end up murdered in a ditch.
Yeah, because and we say that knowing that full well how hard it is to get out of those situations.
Yes, it's not easy. But
No,
they have the full service of all the help that you could possibly need and more to get yourself out of it. Yeah.
And we'll post that
in the story, but we know that it's not anything to joke about.
No, it's not. So, and we will post that phone number down below after the video, so that way everybody can see it, and if they need it, they have it there. So,
yep.
Yeah, so that's all I have for Beauty and the Beast. We'll be posting a bonus recording of something that I have to decide. A Little Mermaid snippet or something. I don't know. Our next episode will be posted on September 7th, which is my bonus episode. TBD on that one. And then our next full episode, episode 3, will be hosted by Alice, who will be doing also TBD because we suck at planning things, but we have the dates down.
Yes,
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, yes. You got this. So, but we're going to continue the theme with Disney month. So our bonus episodes are going to be readings or snippets, pretty much no commentary, just something fun and typically short. So look for that on the 7th. And then Alice, pick a topic sometime soon. We'll be posting on Facebook, where you can find all of the links. This is hosted on several different podcast channels, including Spotify. And check us out on YouTube if you're interested in seeing our faces. And when I watch along as we're being silly. So, yeah, that's all I have for you, ladies. Anything else?
I am sad that that there is no, like, other than the Beast, there's no real, like, villain in the actual story, that Disney just kind of made that up to throw in there.
Yeah. And your favorite character's made up.
I know.
But in the story, I would, like, if you take it out of the context of us viewing it with a modern eye, our modern eye is saying that it's domestic violence. But if you just take that out and look at it without that sort of perspective, there isn't really an antagonist.
Yeah.
Not really.
Strange. It's a little strange for a fairy tale. Most fairy tales have, like, some sort of bad guy or
right, but
like lesson to be learned or whatever, you know.
Oh, we're supposed to have a moral. I had a moral. Oh, before we go, the moral of today's story, and it's the best one I could come up with.
Oh God.
So the way I see a moral is, what do you do to avoid this situation from happening to you? So my moral was, if a castle seems magicked, walk away.
That is good. That is a good one.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say, like, don't pick roses from random people's yards, but I like that one too.
Don't pick roses from random people's yards. Don't eat
Dude,
food
if he
that
would have
magically
walked away,
appears.
none of that part would have happened.
Right.
There would have been no magic food, no fire, no rose picking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I also, side note, think it's interesting that Disney, to explain how the food and stuff just appeared, made talking appliances.
Yeah. Hey, that wardrobe is lit. Let me tell you, she had it going on.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.